All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Maddox Lightning. And this is Halcyon. There's another one around somewhere. So, I wanted to speak to you today about the types of listening that we're learning about. Um, on the test, I was overwhelmingly, as I thought I would be, a critical listener, and that is somebody who's listening for discrepancies in other people's words, somebody who's paying very, very close attention to what is being said, and maybe accuracy among that. Um, and there's a long story for me about maybe why I do those things and currently how I'm trying to implement them in ways that do good for the world instead of just maybe good for my mind and helping me feel safe. So I think it's an incredible skill that I've cultivated, but definitely, as the writing talks about in the ebook that we're reading, it can also be something that can help other people or hurt other people. So, and my relationships with them. So, hopefully, using that critical skill of listening in a critical way for good. The second one I had most highly scored on was goal oriented listening, which goes along with the critical thinking or the critical listening because I'm usually critically listening because I have a certain goal in mind. So maybe that's critically listening because somebody's unhappy and I want to help them figure out why they're unhappy and what they can do about it. But then I do find myself more orienting towards how am I going to respond? What am I going to suggest? How would I advise them? And even though that maybe could be helpful if they're ready, it might not be very helpful if they don't feel like I'm really deeply listening to them and I'm just listening so that we can, accomplish something or get something done. So, and the third out of the four that I scored highest on was relational listening. Even though this is not along the same lines, I find it fascinating that a test I took a while ago called Sources of Strength talks about different things we have in our lives, sources of strength, and there's like five categories in it, and each one has five subcategories, something along those lines. And when I took it, I was very surprised. I got one of the categories is, I think, strategy, and four out of my five sources of strength were all in strategy. And as a person, I love people very much. I cherish people very much. As we talked about our young personality types, I had INFPT. And so that's already, an introverted person. And I know I'm in my mind a lot. But what I am curious about is for somebody like me who cherishes people so deeply, I find it fascinating how a lot of my caring comes through as critical listening and goal oriented listening and strategy and very in my mind. So perhaps a balance I can focus on when I'm listening to people's speeches or talking with people in conversation is yes, I have a talent for listening critically, and that's something I've worked to develop and something that I would like to keep developing. But where are the morals behind that? And what am I listening critically for? And how can I make the listening not just about me? Um, and some other things like that. So, what do you think, buddy? Yeah. So, love and care. And one of the questions on the test before I end was about do you need to listen critically to be a good listener? Does a good listener listen for discrepancies? And I think with this little buddy here, um, cats and dogs, different animals, are some of the best listeners, right? And they don't tell us about any discrepancies in our words. So I do think there's value in being a very careful listener when it comes to listening to what people are saying and looking for things that don't line up and maybe where they have conflicting morals or ideas they don't realize go against each other. But I think there is a skill and a value and a beauty to just listening to people's heart. Yeah, and what they have to say um, from their spirit that communicates more than just the specific words that they're using. So, anyways, I cherish you all. It was delightful to share with you, and I hope you have a beautiful day.